If you're an expat living in Switzerland, or if you're a Swiss resident and ready to start investing, you've probably heard of Swissquote and interactive brokers. But which one is better for you? Both are really popular investment platforms for Swiss investors. And in today's video, I'm going to break down the key differences between the two platforms regarding four different areas, including safety and regulation, fees and costs, user experience, and tax reporting and Swiss regulations. And I'm going to share my personal experience using both platforms. Yes, I use both, and give you my ultimate suggestions on how to choose the right one based on your investment goals. Hey, I'm Charlene, your investment coach in Switzerland with 10 years of banking experience. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my tips on how to start investing and build wealth right here in Switzerland. First, let's compare security. Now I know that Swissquote feels like the more familiar option for those of us living in Switzerland, right? Swiss quality is regulated by FINMA, the Swiss regulator in Switzerland. And, there's that comforting sense of local trust, I would say. But what about interactive brokers? It's a global giant, right? So before we talk about fees and features, let's address the most important question. Are Swissquote and interactive brokers are safe to use? And when you are ready to put your life savings to work and let your money work harder than you do, finding a trusted platform is really very, very important. I totally get it. And safety is the top priority when it comes to money, right? And let's start with Swissquote. Swissquote is Switzerland's largest online bank. And yes, they have a banking license, not only just a broker, and is regulated by FINMA. FINMA is Switzerland's financial regulatory authority. And one big plus, as a Swiss bank, it offers deposit protection up to 100k Swiss francs under Swiss law. What does it mean? If a bank or security firm goes bankrupt in Switzerland, your deposits up to 100k per client are protected. You can think of it like an extra layer of security from the government to give you peace of mind. And now, what about interactive brokers? Interactive brokers is like a global powerhouse that is regulated in several countries, including Switzerland. And the company manages over 2 million accounts and handles almost 2 million daily trades. And those are really, really impressive numbers that show just how many people trust the platform. So, which one is safer? So, honestly, both platforms are safe and reliable. The main difference is that Swissquote is regulated directly in Switzerland, while interactive brokers has global oversight across multiple countries. So if safety is your concern, you are covered with either option. So I would say I will give both platforms 5 out of 5. Now let's talk about fees. But before we move on to this topic, I just want you to say this. If you're an expat in Switzerland and feeling confused about how to get started with investing, I've created a step-by-step investment course just for you. You can register for the next session and it's completely free. But I only open it to 50 people to keep it interactive and personal. I'll put the link in the description area, so make sure to check it out and grab your spot before it fills up. Okay. And all right, let's get into a question most investors care about. How much does it cost to invest? And there are actually a lot of fees out there, but for now, let's just focus on three key fees: trading fee, custody fee, also known as a safekeeping fee, and FX fees. So now let's start with Swissquote. Swissquote's trading fees depends on two things. The first one is the size of your transaction. For example, if you invest 500 or 1,000 or 20,000, how much you buy or sell, right? And secondly, which stock exchange you use. So for example, do you trade on New York Stock Exchange or London or in Switzerland? For example, if you invest 5,000 in a US ETF on the New York Stock Exchange or NYSE, the trading fee is around $30. And keep in mind, fee structures can change over time. So I recommend you take a screenshot now. And I will also include a link in the video description so you can always check the latest fee structure. And now let's talk about custody fees, which are essentially safekeeping fees for holding your assets. And here's the breakdown. So 20 francs per quarter for assets up to 50K and 25 for assets between 50 to 100K and 37.5 per quarter for assets between 100K to 150K and 50 per quarter for assets above 150K. And if you have more than 1 million, they will also charge you additional 0.0075% fee per quarter to cover external safekeeping costs. And now let's compare that to interactive brokers. So if you look at their fee structure online about interactive brokers, you may find totally confused. And I get it. To be really honest, even with 10 years working experience in banking, when I first saw interactive brokers fees, I feel really lost. But let me simplify it for you. So interactive brokers has two fee systems, one fixed fee and two tiered fee. So the fixed fee system is very straightforward. You pay a fixed percentage based on the stock exchange. For example, if you are buying Swiss stock on a Swiss stock exchange, the fee is 0.05%. That means if you invest 20K, you pay how much? You pay around 10 in trading fees, right? Keep in mind, there's also a minimum fee of 5 francs per order. The tiered fee system is more complex. For example, you are charged separate fees for things like clearing, trading, reporting, and transactions. And the rules vary by stock exchange, and the complexity can turn people off, I know. However, for most investors, the tiered system actually ends up saving you a lot more money. So if you're aiming for the lowest possible fees, the tiered system is probably the way to go. Overall speaking, the fees at interactive brokers are really, really low, especially when it comes to the US stocks. If you are buying US ETFs, US stocks, you'll find the fees much, much cheaper compared to Swissquote. And in terms of custody fees, interactive brokers typically charges no custody fees for most users, as long as you meet the minimum activity requirement, I think. And now let's talk about FX fees. Okay, if you need to exchange, for example, Swiss francs to USD to buy US stocks, you pay a foreign exchange fee. And interactive brokers is definitely cheaper than Swissquote when it comes to FX conversions. So that is something to keep in mind as well. So in short, if you're making more trades, especially with US, Asia, or international stocks, interactive brokers is much cheaper option. But if you're only investing in Swiss stocks or prefer a fully Swiss regulated platform, Swissquote could be worth paying the extra fees. Hey friends, before we move on, just want you to say if so far you find the video helpful, do give me a like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future tips on investments in Switzerland. And now let's talk about user experience. I actually really love this topic because it's so often overlooked, and yet it makes a huge, huge, huge difference in how comfortable you feel managing your investments. And you can see here's the interface of Swissquote, and here is the interface of interactive brokers. And Swissquote is definitely more beginner friendly. The platform is intuitive, clean, and available in French, German, Italian, and English. Everything feels straightforward, which is ideal if you want a smooth experience when it comes to trading without unnecessary complexity. Interactive brokers, on the other hand, can feel a bit overwhelming at the very beginning. The platform has a tons of tools, but many of them are designed for advanced traders, not regular investors. Even after 10 years in the banking industry, I've only used about 10 to 20% of the features that interactive brokers that offer. And honestly, that's enough. We are investors, we're not traders. You don't need all those extra functions to build long term wealth. So, why do we want to overcomplicate things when simplicity works better, right? So you can think of it like this. Swissquote is like a Swiss army knife. It has all the essential tools you need and it's reliable. Interactive brokers is more like a trading supercomputer, powerful but can be a little bit complicated for some beginner investors. Okay, now let's talk about taxes because this is a big concern for a lot of expats in Switzerland. And when I first started looking at this topic, to be really honest, I noticed that tax information for expat investors is really hard to find. It's often overlooked in articles or guides, but I know taxes are a big concern for many of you, right? So let's break it down now. So in Switzerland, private investors, we don't pay tax on capital gains. What does it mean? For example, if you buy a stock at 100 francs and sell it later at 150, so you earn 50, but you do not need to pay tax on the 50 that you earned. However, you do need to pay tax on dividends. What does it mean? So dividends are payments made by companies to their shareholders, to you. So, for example, in Switzerland, any dividends you receive are taxable income. So, for expats who need to file tax returns every year in Switzerland, this can sound a little bit overwhelming, but here's where Swissquote makes things easier. Swissquote provides you with, I think it's called DA1 form, which is essential for expats who need to claim back withholding tax on Swiss dividends. And this form can help you recover a portion of the tax that is automatically withheld when Swiss companies pay out dividends. So, if taxes are something you are really worried about, Swissquote's tax system or tax reporting tools can really help you, can really simplify the process. With interactive brokers, things get a little bit trickier when it comes to taxes. They do provide you, don't get me wrong, they do provide you documents, every document that you need, but you will need to manually track your investments and calculate your taxable income, which can get a little bit complicated, especially when you're an expat living in Switzerland. To be really honest, even though I myself is a finance professional, is a money coach, I personally use a tax advisor. This is just like way more efficient and they save me a lot of time and eventually time is money, right? So from tax perspective, Swissquote is definitely easier during tax season. They provide all the necessary tax forms and they calculate and list everything you need as a Swiss taxpayer and it's all there ready to go. And now it is my ultimate suggestion for you. So, let me share a quick story from my own investment journey. When I was living in Hong Kong, Interactive Brokers was my main broker. But when I moved to Switzerland, I started using Swissquote, mainly because of the tax reporting benefits and the accessibility of their services here. For example, Swissquote's team is in the same time zone since they're based here in Switzerland, right? And if you have any questions, their live chat is well run, and you've always got a real human being answering your questions. So personally, I even have a dedicated contact who work at Swissquote. So once your capital reaches a certain level, you will get that personal help or personal support too. So whenever I have an issue, for example, I can just simply call or send them an email and they just always there to help. And now I know what you're thinking. Swissquote's fees are higher and maybe for a lot of people significantly higher than interactive brokers. And yes, they are. But if those higher fees come with better services and time saving features, then for me, it's worth it. However, I also get that if you're starting small, let's say you invest 500 USD per month, Swissquote's fees might feel too high for you. For example, if you're only investing 500 USD and pay 5 in fees, that's already kind of like 1% in transaction fees only, right? It's gone. And in that case, it may not feel worth it. So when people ask me, oh, Charlene, which platform is the best? My answer is always the same. It depends on a few things. How much you invest. It depends on where you invest, with stocks or US or international ETFs. And 3, how important time saving and tax services and all these kind of things are for you. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe for more videos on investing in Switzerland. And if you're feeling overwhelmed by all of this, don't worry. I've created a step-by-step investment course specifically for expats in Switzerland. You can register for the upcoming session. It's completely free, but spots are limited. The link is in the description area. I will see you there.